Hi there. This video is a tutorial meant for students and other Berkeley affiliates that want to have projects fabricated using the tools at Jacobs. I'm going to summarize how to prepare a job submission for the JPS, for our Jacobs project support system. So this is assuming you are getting ready to use this system. You've got files ready, such as for laser cutting or 3D printing or some of the other tools. If you want more of an introduction on the JPS, there is or will be a video that is simply an introduction of the JPS system. This is a system that we've produced in this past year in order to make our tools useful to the Berkeley community. So you can find more information about it here at our website. You can just go to jps.jacobshall.org. There is information on how to get Makerspace access, registering basically for the use of the JPS, and who is eligible, who is not, things like that. More on that in another video. So you should know what tool you want to use. So if you are laser cutting, for example, you've got Illustrator files, you would use the laser cutting form for that. If you're 3D printing, figure out which 3D printer you'd like to use and select that tool. If you don't know which tool you'd like to use, you go to the Jacobs Hall website. There is a page, the calendar for all of our office hours, appointments. But this page, this URL here, if you go here, all of the design specialists, such as myself and my colleagues, have office hours that you can book and ask us questions. All of us have a fairly well-rounded knowledge in the tools in Jacobs. Some of us more specialized in certain areas than others, but you can try any of us to at least get the ball rolling on answering questions you have on a project. Once you know what tool you'd like to use, then if you are 3D printing, for example, you'll have some STL files. So these STL files are the mesh geometries, something exported from Fusion 360 or other 3D modeling software. And what we ask for is those files and also descriptions of what it is you'd like. So there's definitely no harm in being redundant about this. So capturing information in the file name is helpful. This is first initial, last name, name of a file, whatever you want to call it. And then the units that file is meant in, either millimeters or inches are preferred. And then how many copies of that file. And so I've done that in the file name here. And then I've also listed these in a text file. And this is really helpful, even if it seems redundant. We're tracking a lot of jobs. And so it'll go a long way to making sure that your job gets done the way you intend it to. How many copies of each, things like that. So I've included a text file that summarizes the job, the project name, the printer you're intending to use, or other machines like laser cutter or whatever, job parameters, things that are specific to it, like materials or whatever. And if there are multiple files, then materials for each file. So this file, this material, how many copies, and then the dimensions of that file. That's really helpful. I mean, if you give us the units, that should get us there pretty reliably, but having a reference for like generally how big something should be will give us an idea if we're way off or not when we open the file ourselves. So including that can be helpful. Once you have those files all wrapped up together, I can take that and I can compress it. So we've got a zip file now. And just a note on this, if say, this covers laser cutting, this covers 3D printing fairly well. There are different files, but they're file-based. If you're requesting something like woodworking, then include cut sheets, drawings, things like that. They can be JPEGs, of something you hand drew, but we need to know dimensions, things like that. And so some of the other tools, such as the Creaform scanner, work much differently. You're going to have an object that you want to have scanned. And so then what you'll do is request that. using the form for that, and then get a hold of me or another design specialist, and we'll arrange for you to drop off that object for it to be scanned. So these obviously have different, requirements and things that each of these things need. We'll help you sort it out if you're not sure. So once you have this file sort of zipped up this way, then I'm going to assume that this project is something that was the Object Conics, the PolyJet printers upstairs in the advanced prototyping lab. So I'm going to hit advanced prototyping lab. That should take us to the form. There is a checklist that summarizes all the things that I've just explained, the files needed, quantity of parts, etc. Attach a text file summarizing the job, drawings that might be helpful, things like that. So you'll see this checklist on all the forms for each of the machines. There'll be some form of checklist, like what we need in order to understand what you're asking for. And so this form is, again, a little bit redundant, but still very important information for us. So your name, your student ID number, and the project name. Are you a researcher, design innovation faculty, MDes student, etc., design innovation student? Total number of parts needed. So in this project, I needed 8 total parts. Do you need it shipped to you? If you're okay with picking it up at our sort of so-called curbside pickup location at the side of Jacobs Hall, then you can say no. If you want it to be shipped to you, say yes. If you say yes, you will get a separate email with a link to a form where you can enter your shipping information. So I'm going to hit PolyJet printer and say next. So for the PolyJet printers, there's material specific to those machines, size requirements, things like that, or size limitations, and then material choices. And so each of the machines will have different questions that it's asking for what is you need. So for a multi-material printer like this, you'll want to specify in the text file which parts should be assigned which materials, etc. I believe in this one, I'm using Vero White, and some are in Tango Black. So I'll say Vero White, Tango Black. And these are meant to be glossy. And then any other notes, again, being redundant, you could specify some of this information, how many total copies, whatever, or if there's something, that the questions don't ask, but it's important to your job, here's a good place for it. Hit next, upload the files. Attach the zip file that has the STL files and the text file, or for laser cutting, the Illustrator file and text file perhaps. Upload that and hit submit. That is the process for preparing something. Again, contact a design specialist if you have any questions about what you should be doing as you're getting something prepared. If something is a larger project than average, then definitely contact us ahead of time about materials needed for it, specific needs for it, things like that, and we will try to help you out.